my name is Parkinson. I'm running for senator. I am number 2 on the ballot on the Democratic side. A little bit about myself. My whole life, I was raised here on Guam. I went to JQ San Miguel, Jose Arias Middle School, and graduated from GW. Shout out class of 2004. Growing up, all I ever wanted to be was 2 things, a firefighter and Jack McCloy from Law and Order. So when I graduated from high school, I went out there to make that dream come true. I was a firefighter for 9 years while I was working my way through college to become a prosecutor or lawyer. And so I was out there living the dream, living my best life when I got the hardest call I was ever going to get in my life. My father, former Speaker Don Parkinson, was sick with advanced Parkinson's disease, and he was too sick to continue working. So I dropped out of school, changed careers, and I came back home to be a good son and take care of my father as a full-time caretaker. I also ran our family's small business, a small pawn shop, and so while helping my dad work through the VA system and the pawn shop, seeing all the people struggling to make it just, one more paycheck, you can only see that kind of hardship and struggling so much before you want to do something about it. And so that's what encouraged me to get into public service. I cut my teeth on the cannabis industry. I was one of the original activists that helped Senator Clint Ridgell get that passed. And I helped write some of the rules, as messy as they are, so I have a little bit of experience. So with all the different hats I've worn in my life as a student, a firefighter, a caretaker, a small business manager, an activist, a policy writer, I feel I can bring some valuable perspective to the legislature. So I please ask you all to please consider me for one of your votes come election day.
Thank you. Okay, so what platform you absolutely get completed while in office, and what would be the first bill that you'd introduce? What would be the subject of it?
Well, the first bill and the thing I would absolutely get passed is unemployment insurance. I lived through the pandemic. We all lived through the pandemic. We saw that when we had a mass unemployment event, we needed to have an unemployment system to keep people together while that was happening. And Guam, we all know with absolute certainty that something bad will happen to us in the future. Whether it be a typhoon, another disease, or destabilizing war affecting our jobs over here, something is always around the corner just to affect Guam. And so I want to get in a permanent unemployment insurance program now before the next problem comes around. So that way we are not scrambling to do it in the middle of an emergency. So that would be my first priority, is future-proofing us against future disaster.
Okay, great. All right, I think in our discussions we've come up with the underlying problem to other problems on Guam is methamphetamine. And that there appears to be a lot of it when you look at the crimes in the newspaper. So how would you help stop it from coming to the island and stop it from being used when it's here?
Well, to stop it from coming to the island, we need to have more screening at the ports of entry, primarily the port. So, we need to embrace technology and digital screening, because I think we screen less than 10% of the stuff that comes in at the port. That's a number that can be measured, and if it's something that can be measured, it's something that can be improved. So that's one of the ways I'd stop drugs from coming in, is measuring or increasing how much digital screening we do at the port, so that way we cover more of the stuff that's coming in. As far as how we stop it being used on the island, I feel that's a two-pronged approach there. The first prong being that for the people that are addicted to the drugs, we don't treat them as criminals, we treat them as sick individuals, because that's what they are. These people are sick. Even my own family is touched by the specter of drugs, and we need to get them the help that they need. I'm a Catholic. I believe in the power of second chances, third chances, and bringing people back. And so I think that's how we should treat the people that are addicted to drugs. But on the other hand, while I show compassion to those who are addicted to it, for the people that peddle this poison to our community, I just want to throw the book as hard as I possibly can at them. You know, if we're going to use the carrot with the people that are sick, let's use the stick with the people that peddle it. So that's how I would try to do it, is, you know, mercy for the people that are sick and, you know, wrath for the people that peddle it.
All right. Would you be in favor of a part-time legislature?
No, I would absolutely not be in favor of a part-time legislature. I'm the kind of guy, when I'm your senator, every day I'm going to give my 110% to you. And if you want a part-time legislature, you are going to get senators that put in a part-time effort. And that is not what I'm about. Like, even now, just running for this public office, I'm working hard every day. I'm standing in bushes. I'm standing in the rain. I'm working hard for you because I want to be your senator. And when I'm senator, I'm going to work just as hard every day. And why are you going to defang hardworking people like that for a part-time senator? Like, the problems in our island are not part-time in nature. The problems in our island require full-time attention, and that's what I intend to do, is give this island of Guam my full-time attention. And I think it would be a mistake to give legislatures the license to say that they're part-time workers.
Okay. All right. I'm going to ask you the same question on political status. It's 3 parts. If a plebiscite was held to determine the desired political status, 1, who should be allowed to vote? 2, what political status do you prefer between independence, statehood, and free association? And 3, should status quo be one of the options to be voted on at the plebiscite?
Okay, I'm sorry, that was 3 parts. Could you repeat them all just so I got it clear again? My apologies.
Who should be allowed to vote?
Okay.
And which of the 3 stated choices, statehood, independence, and free association, do you like? And should there be a 4th option? And that would be status quo. So no change.
Who I believe should be able to vote at the plebiscite is, I think the people that, the indigenous population should be allowed to vote for the plebiscite, but ultimately I'm an American and I cede to the Constitution. So, you know, if the Constitution says that can't happen, I will respect the Constitution in that regard, and we will look for other remedies. As far as to what I personally believe, I would love Guam to be a state personally. I can't think of a better thing for Guam than to get the full power of 2 Senate seats. I mean, the amount of good we could do with that kind of representation on Guam is fantastic. But because of how powerful 2 Senate seats are going to be for 150,000 people, I think it'll never happen. And because it'll never happen, I'm a kind of believer we either need to be all in or need to be all out. And if they won't have us as a state, I'm not saying let's be independent, but let's at least seriously look at it and, you know, leave no stone unturned. So I would at least look at independence if they won't ever grant a statehood. And for the third, was it the third part?
Well, status quo, should that be an option?
I know it's not popular, but in the interest of like actually getting an accurate representation of what the people want, I do think I think it is a legitimate choice. And this is someone who's, you know, leans in favor of the independent people, but I think it should be allowed as an option.
Thank you. All right, that's our debate for this week.
Thank you.